This is Pop Culture Period Piece Podcast. I'm Laura.
And I'm Julie. We are actors, costumers, movie, and book enthusiasts.
But we have very different tastes. So every week we pick a pop culture period piece to talk about.
Our thoughts about the movie and also anything the movie brings up.
Like how The Mummy is totally written through the female gaze and Santa Fe from Newsies is the ultimate I want song. Do you know what that is? Listen to us.
So if you like movies with corsets, manners, and cottagecore aesthetics, give us a listen.
Pop Culture Period Piece has a new episode dropping every Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hi, all I need is 2 minutes of your time.
You again? Look, there are 5 other contestants. Why don't you try one of them?
I would, except you're a born leader, and I need someone like that to help me get my message out.
What message?
That bringing people to the moon is wrong.
It's only a 2-day festival. What's the big snarl?
This is how it starts. It's how it always starts.
Well, a lot of people would call that progress.
No. Real human progress would be knowing when to leave well enough alone.
You wouldn't feel that way if you grew up where I did.
Okay, look up there. Do you really want to go out on some romantic date and gaze up to see it all covered in tacky lunar condos and Big Bang burgers?
That's not going to happen.
Spoiler alert.
No, Val, it's too soon.
We're not spoilers.
We just started.
We're still closed.
Hey, Val.
Hey, Al.
Welcome to D-Commentaries.
Thank you. Welcome to you and welcome to our listeners. Today, we're talking about Zenon Z3.
Wow.
Wow.
And Val, to preface this episode, I've got a little bit of a cold. I'm a little bit of a cranky crab.
You know what? I'll take Cranky Crab Alley over No Alley any day of the week.
Oh, some people would disagree with that.
Not me.
Thanks, Val.
All right, let's do it. Zenon Z3 came out June 11th, 2004. So again, they're on the quarterly schedule in the year of 2004.
Okay.
It was directed by Steve Rash, who didn't do any other DComs. He doesn't have a huge resume, but he directed Can't Buy Me Love, which was a very early Patrick Dempsey vehicle. He also directed a movie called Eddie that Whoopi Goldberg starred in. And he directed a bunch of like made for TV sequels of movies.
Okay.
Like, for example, he directed 2 Bring It On straight to TV sequels.
Was
All
it the
or
one
Nothing
with Hayden Panettiere?
and In It to Win It. I think All or Nothing is the one. With Hayden
I love
Panettiere.
that one.
Yes.
Where
Yes,
she's
it
fake
is.
crumping?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
so I
Val,
don't know.
put it on the list.
Okay, it's on the list.
Put it on the
Steve
list.
Rash classic. He also did like an American Pie TV sequel and a Road Trip TV sequel.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Zenon Z3 was written by
Stu Krieger. Stu shout out.
Stu shout out.
Yay, Stu. Also co-executive produced, I saw.
Yes, and actually something we didn't mention in the last episode is that he apparently also wrote Going to the Mat, but he's not credited on IMDb, but it wasn't one of the ones that he mentioned he wasn't credited on, so I didn't think about
in the
it.
credits.
So I need to look now. So he is in the list, but like if you just have it like on the main page, it says Steve Bloom. But if you open, like, you know, if you click through, it's Steve Bloom and Stu Krieger.
Wow.
So I messed up. My bad. And Stu even taught us about the ands, and I should have checked. But
now
either way,
I've looked at every single one for the rest of time to see if
I
Stu
know.
had anything to do with it.
And also last week we missed the opportunity because it was 2 Stews. Stu Gillard directed it, and Stu Krieger wrote it. We missed the double, the 2 Stew, the
double-edged stew,
Stew squared. But anyway, as you hopefully know, because now everyone has listened to our Stu Shoutout episode because we told you to, and you should have.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? It's so good. Here's an endorsement. I sent it to my dad because he was interested, because I told him about the Parent Trap thing. And he listened to it and then was inspired to listen to Stu's TED Talk. And he was like, we need more people like Stu in the world.
Aww.
That was a great interview. Yeah. So it's a worthwhile listen. Bob Agnew endorsed. Definitely recommend.
Math King Bob Agnew endorsed.
The Math King has endorsed. So Stu, if you don't know for some insane reason, wrote Zenon the original, Smart House, Phantom of the Megaplex, Rip Girls, uncredited, Zenon the sequel, The Poof Point, True Confessions, Gotta Kick It Up, Going to the Mat, Zenon Z3, Now You See It, uncredited, and Cowbells. So the king.
Now, will you say cowbells again?
Cowbells.
Cowbells.
Cowbells. And he also wrote The Land Before Time.
Heard of it.
Which we talk about every time. And also Parent Trap 2, which I didn't talk about until we talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a king. He also wrote one of the many versions of Freaky Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at least one person commented on one of our posts that it was the best version of Freaky Friday. So
Wow, a hot take.
a hot take. Anyway, the cast is as follows for Zenon Z3. Kirsten Storms played Zenon Kar.
She's back.
She's back. She was obviously in both previous Zenons as Zenon. She was also in Johnny Tsunami, and she has had a very long stint more recently on General Hospital.
Cool.
Yes. We also have Lauren Maltby reprising her role as Margie Hammond. She was in both the first, or both previous Zenons, and she was also in Stepsister from Planet Weird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Raven Simonier, because I don't know if anyone else has seen this on TikTok. We've all been pronouncing Raven's name wrong forever. So Raven Simonier made a cameo appearance as Nebula Wade, which is interesting because she was Nebula in the first movie. And then they recast her in the second movie. And then they brought her back in this movie, which I thought was a very interesting move.
Interesting move.
She also was in Cheetah Girls, which we more recently watched, and she's going to be in Cheetah Girls 2. She's also obviously very well known for That's So Raven, and more recently Raven's Home. So she's all over our favorite channel.
And the way that they did the opening credits, like they did all of the actors, and then they took up the entire screen, and it said, with special appearance from Raven.
Yeah,
and it took up the entire screen.
Maybe by 2004, she was just that big of a name that it was like a huge draw.
I'm sure. Because of That's So Raven.
Yeah.
And at that point, she was not Raven Simonier yet. She was just Raven.
Just Raven, like Cher. Then we had Allison Morgan as Dasha Plank.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't really done a whole lot, and she stopped acting in 2015. So
okay,
she seems like she didn't go in that direction. We've got Stuart Pankin back for playing Commander Edward Plank. He was in the first two Zenons, and he also is the voice of the dad in Dinosaurs. Not the mama. Holly Fulger reprised her role as Aunt Judy, and she also was in the first two Zenons, and she was on the Ellen show, like the narrative show Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
But she also hasn't acted in a while. She stopped in 2013.
Wow, 10 years ago.
I know.
Doesn't 2013 feel like 2 years ago?
Yes. I was already well out of college in 2013. So, yes. I was already a full-time working adult in 2013.
Wow.
And I put that off. So the fact that that's true is bonkers. Glenn McMillan played Bronley Hale, and he was he's probably most known for playing the Yellow Wind Ranger in a bunch of Power Ranger shows.
Cool.
Yeah, he was like either Australian or from New Zealand, and that's where
would it
those
be
Power Ranger shows.
They shot it in South Africa? Would he have been South African?
He didn't sound like he was South African. He could have been like faking an Australian accent, but I feel like if he were like gonna do that, then they would have just had him fake an American accent. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he was, and I just didn't pick up on it. But I know that the Power Rangers shows that he was on were the same ones that when they filmed these movies that were in New Zealand, a lot of people were in those same Power Ranger shows. So I think those shows at least were filmed in New Zealand.
Okay.
Then we had Ben Easter playing Sage Borealis. And he hasn't done a whole lot either. He was in actually a couple of the Mary-Kate and Ashley things, but he also stopped acting in 2015.
And he was in Holiday in the Sun.
Right.
He's the hot guy in Holiday in the Sun.
He is hot.
I recognize
pretty
him.
eyes.
Yeah.
Pretty eyes. And then we had Nathan Anderson playing a recast Protozoa.
Thank you. Because I was like, this guy looks so different.
Yeah, no, that was not our Protozoa. Not my Protozoa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was fine. Like there was nothing wrong with his performance, but I was just so disappointed that it wasn't the original.
So confused. I literally had no idea. And I was like, wow, he just does not look the same.
So Philip Reese Chaudhry played Protozoa in the first two movies. He's my Protozoa for sure. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with this guy. They must just not have been able to get Philip
You hate
Reese.
him.
I don't hate him.
You hate him.
I don't hate him. I just loved Philip Reese. Like, Philip Reese, he loved playing that role. You know what I mean? Like, he had so much fun, especially in the sequel. I remember talking about it, like how much he was just like, he'd be in the background of a scene and he would just be so funny. Whatever he was doing. And we just didn't get that with this. There's obviously also just less of him in this movie.
Yeah.
So that's the cast.
Nice.
Yeah. Everyone else who was in this movie like was never in anything else. So,
cool.
Okay. Synopsis is as follows. High achiever Zenon Kar is competing to win the Galactic Teen Supreme contest and celebrate at the Moonstock Festival in the year 2054. When Zenon wants to beat handsome competitor Bronley Hale, she runs headlong into moon activist Sage Borealis.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, it sort of writes out most of the main plot points, but sure.
Yeah, I feel like they typically do that.
Yep. A couple fun facts about this movie. One we learned from Stu himself. This was originally meant to be a feature film. Like this was meant to be shown in movie theaters.
I forgot about that.
And it was written with that intent, but then they ultimately decided to not do that. And so then it was filmed on a TV budget. And boy, howdy, can you tell?
That makes so much more sense. I totally forgot he said that.
Yeah. And they filmed in South Africa, as he mentioned as well, probably also to save money because they probably had some good incentives. And I totally noticed he talked about this one scene, and it happens early on in the movie where they're on a beach and there is a windstorm and they just are filming through it. And it's like their hair is like flying all over the place. And it was so funny. I was like, oh yeah, that's Stu was talking about that. The only other fun fact was actually from IMDb, which is kind of interesting. So when this movie premiered on Disney Channel, there was apparently a contest where viewers had to count all the Z's that they saw like hidden in the movie. And I don't know what they won or whatever for getting it right, but that was a thing. And then I definitely noticed there were a lot of places where there were Z's where like it didn't make any sense that there were Z's.
Like pictures?
Yes, exactly. I was like, why is this Z's? Like, there's nothing about it, like Zenon, but like Zenon doesn't own this drink stand. Like, why is there Z's everywhere? That's why.
Wow.
Yeah. So business done. Complete. Al.
Yes.
What were your first impressions of this movie?
Thanks, Val. I watched this on my couch after having been on my couch for several hours. I was already a cranky crab. Felt like a really long hour and 20 minutes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I can see how it would have been better as a feature film. I didn't live, laugh, love it, but I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to watch it again, it's not like I'm being forced by my will. I'd be like, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it I was going to give it a 6, but.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe 5.5, maybe. But I think I'm on a 5.75. I'm going to settle on 5.75.
Okay.
Better than a lot of the ones we've seen, I think my least favorite Zenon 213. I think that's how trilogies typically go.
Agreed.
But I thought that it was a fine way to kind of pull the whole story together. I found it interesting that her parents weren't in it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just completely gone.
I know.
But other than that, yeah, I think it was fine. Val, first impressions?
Yeah, so I went into this obviously kind of expecting it to be a little bit disappointing comparatively because of what Stu had already told us about it.
Yeah.
I probably did see this, but I had no memory of it at all. So I'm very conflicted about this movie because on the one hand, I really like the concept behind the story. Like I like the narrative of this movie. Probably not quite as much as the second one or the first one actually, but I like it. And I think it still hits different ideas than the first two. So I like credit to Stu for coming up with a different, concept for this one. But man, a lot of the execution just fell so short.
Which we can say is not Stu's fault.
No, not Stu's fault at all. And that's essentially what I'm saying. I think that Stu wrote a good movie. And then I think that they just weren't able to make a good quality product with that script because of the circumstances. I also think that I love Kirsten Storms as Zenon. I think that she understands this character so well and embodies her so well. Yeah. And it's really cool to see her literally grow up with this character and play her differently, but the same. It's believable. The first movie, she's 11, 12, whatever. And now she's 16 or whatever. And it makes sense. The way that she reacts to stuff and the way that her character kind of shifts, but also stays the same. Yeah. I just think that's really cool and nuanced for a, TV movie. Right. So I liked that. I liked the guy who played Sage. I thought he was good. And again, kind of I really appreciate in these movies, especially the ones like this that are so kind of fantastical and wacky in a lot of ways where the main characters play it straight. You know what I mean? They play it they're in, this is the real world and this is how it works. And I like Commander Plank and Aunt Judy. I think they're cute. And, that worked for me. I mean, I didn't even mind Dasha, even though she was kind of annoying, but she was fine. Where I was so impatient was with the friends and Bronley and the villain and basically everyone else in this movie. I had no patience for them. First of all, why does the only other black character have to be Raven's cousin? Why does she have to be Nebula's cousin? She could just be another black person that they became friends with. I hated that. And also she was so pointless to the entire story. She didn't even need to be there.
Right. There was one small part where she was semi-needed.
Sure.
But it's this big.
Right. And it could have been explained a different way or whatever. Right. It was just sort of okay. And even Margie was sort of I don't understand this character anymore. She doesn't make any sense anymore. She shouldn't be in this anymore. They had a wonderful arc in the second movie. And she should just be
back into it.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of weird stuff with them. And then I've never this Bronley character is supposed to be this snotty, everything comes easily to me, I'm always a winner kind of jerky character, but he doesn't play it that way. And so then when he has to kind of be that guy later in the movie, it's so not believable at all. And it's just
what are you doing?
So there was this, there was some stuff. And then of course, my God, the special effects, the animation and stuff, oh my Lord. It was worse than the first one. It was so bad.
I could do better on iMovie.
Exactly. No joke. If you gave either of us animation software, we could
a green
make
screen.
It look like this.
I could walk on the moon a little bit better than that.
Yeah. So it was very distracting in a lot of moments because of that. But the moments that were not so much about those things were much easier to watch and entertaining. Yeah. So that was how I felt about this movie. Val, did you have any favorite quotes or moments?
Did you have any favorite quotes or moments? As being Dasha. I did. I thought that Cassie and Margie looked like Anastasia and Drizella in the beginning of the movie.
That's
I liked that part.
She had a slinky in her hair.
I really did like the costumes. They were so 70s. And like, if the 2050s are bringing us back to the 1970s, I would not be mad. So my least favorite parts were when they were just doing shots of the moon and it was like straight from the 80s. It was like they got it from like someone's like VHS tape from like their school library of like, this is what it looked like in the moon. It was bad. It took me a long time to pick up on this. I don't know if you did. I'm sure you did because you're smart. But they kept saying stay iced. And
like stay cool.
Yeah, and it took me so long to think of that. I'd be like, oh, that's kind of funny. It was just like, stay iced, like chill out, stay cool, keep it cool. I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah.
I like the line, keep going at that rate, you'll have enough bones to build a dinosaur. And that was when
even though she was literally shaving her for eating.
Yeah. She was eating like ribs.
The biggest ribs I've ever seen.
Biggest ribs ever, but also just like the driest ribs. It's like she sucked every piece of meat off those bones and then like put them under an air dryer. They were just dry rib bones. It was fine. And then at the end, someone says, Daddy, I like that. And I liked that. Val, any favorite quotes or moments?
So I liked some of the new lingo. Like I liked stay iced. I liked instead of saying Zetus Lapidus, they said Vega Omega.
Yeah, that was fun.
Interesting. At one point she said, that's not fair. If I start becoming all grown uppy, I'm going to be boring to the 10th power squared.
Grown uppy.
Which I thought was really funny. And also I think that's what it was, to the 10th power squared, which makes no sense. That's very dark matter. Like that's very serious. I liked that. At some point someone said Zenon's always fine, which I thought was interesting because like I feel like Zenon gets a lot of things put on her as to who she is. Like people always assume things about her. And that I think is a very dangerous thing. And I think the people in the world who have that assumed about them, it's hard, right? Because like if everyone always thinks you're fine, no one's checking on you. And it's hard to ask for help because you get caught in that sort of like giving off that. At some point, Zenon about Sage says, he's a total green bean. And then this one hit me like a ton of bricks. You're not old until you hit like 30.
I'm 31. That's what he said.
That's what he says. Edward, is that snow? Apparently, dear. Can it snow in outer space? Apparently, dear. So this one was interesting because I was starting to get frustrated with like the repeat of no one believes Zenon because I was like, this is getting old. And then literally Dasha hits it on the head. She says, you were right about Wyndham. You were right about the aliens. Why would people not believe you now? And I was like screaming at the TV. Exactly. Why?
That's why we love Stu. He knows what the people want.
I know. And then her final line, which is a perfect mirror of that first line where she's like, I don't want to grow up. She says, I think learning to be open to new experiences is the macro best part of growing up. And I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I hated that. I wrote that at the end.
You hated that?
I have some kind of comment. What did I write? I just wrote no.
Being open to new experiences is
learning
not
to be
the
open to
best
new
part, right?
experiences is the macro best part of growing up. I just wrote no. Best part being able to eat mozzarella sticks whenever you want.
Okay, that is all.
All right.
I don't have anything else, I don't think. If we want to just rip off our spacesuits and go on a topless spacewalk, baby, on the moon.
Hate space. I'm gonna let you go on your own, and I'm gonna stay here in my little pod. I'm gonna stay in my Spoiler City pod, but my top is off. So
okay, I'll wave to you from space without my top.
All right. So we open up on the beach and we have the Extreme Teen Supreme contest is happening where they have 3 boys and 3 girls who are competing to be the Extreme Team Supreme. They only ask people from outer space. And the moon is holding like the final kind of is holding the event. So they have to get there. They have to race there. And then the moon for 2 days is going to be holding this event. We see Cassie and Margie, and we don't see Zenon. And Zenon is currently learning how to drive a little pod, which is amazing because she can't do the race unless she has her license. But the race is literally in like 45 minutes. Insane. Because if it was today, they would say you have to apply with a license. So yeah, I guess, she applied with a fake license. Okay. She's in there with Lieutenant Shrank.
Commander Shrank, which is also funny because why is the commander of this space station giving the driver's test?
Kind of like how the head of the baseball, the head coach of the baseball team in high school is also the driver's ed teacher. And he literally is the only driver's ed only the driver's ed teacher so that he can be the head baseball coach. They're like, you can only be commander if you give driving lessons. So her and Plank are in there, and the pod was hijacked by some spooky light that's kind of flying around, and so she's unable to kind of control it, but then she gets her bearings and all of this. He's like, oh, you actually did a good job, and she gets her license, but laugh out loud, the picture was bad. Which I think is funny because it's she's 16. This is the end of the series. She's getting her license. All of, this generation in 2004 is getting their license too. It's kind of fun. Then she Skypes with Nebula, who's in Maui. And she says, take care of my cousin. She's not as well traveled as you, Zenon. Her cousin Cassie is also one of the people who is going to be in this race. They get announced on stage, and as they're getting announced, a protester says that they want to exploit the moon. And I wrote, which begs the question, how? I just was there for a lot of this movie when he's like, you're exploiting or don't do it. There was just no explanation as to why. He just kept saying, don't do it. I found it we get an answer later. It just took a while to get there. Mm-hmm. So Sage Borealis is the person who is doing the protesting, and he goes to Zenon and says, don't do it. She doesn't care. There was some weird ADR from security here of hey, keep it moving. It was super weird. It was very far away. And then Ant and Plinkton say they're having a kid. And they're like, hey, Zenon, we're having a kid. And she's like, oh, my God, I didn't know you were. And they were like, gross. No, we don't have sex. They were like, gross. No, we're old as hell. Yeah. And so they're like, oh, just kidding. We adopted a 10-year-old. And Dasha looks exactly like Zenon, just a mini me. So then all of the girls are talking about Bronley, the hot guy who's in the running for the competition, and how he's hot and he's a hero and he's the favorite. And Zenon's like, okay, why is he your favorite? And then Sage comes up to her again, and he's like, bringing people to the moon is wrong. Once again, why? He just says, don't do it. It's wrong. We still don't know. And then we learn, this is not important to the story, I'm going to say it anyway, but we learn that Bronley is from another space station than Zenon. So they're both space kids. Only space kids can be in this competition, and he's from another space station. So I find that kind of interesting that there's a bunch of there's a world of space stations, different countries, and different, people have sent their people up. And I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and it made it make way more sense because I had literally just written, how does she not know who this guy is if only space station people can
if there's only one, you are literally all together. Right. So that night, she's tossing and turning, and with Dasha, who's also tossing and turning with her.
In a fully lit room, by the way.
Yeah, it's very silly. They're in 2 twin beds that are next to each other, which begs the question, how?
How what?
How did they have 2 matching twin beds when she wasn't expecting to have a built-in cousin?
Some people just have 2 twin beds in their room.
Okay.
For sleepovers and stuff.
I did have a trundle bed. Okay, so she had a dream that she was at I wrote the Zoom landing. The moon landing. So she's on the moon. And then she is like talking to her aunt and she's like, I just want some space from Dasha. She's just kind of a lot, which she is. She is a lot. And then we cut to Protozoa. He's back and he's talking to a little Alexa orb that's flying around. That's kind of, Val, am I correct in saying it's kind of like from the movie Flubber?
Oh yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's basically a droid that floats around, and it also seems to maybe be his assistant / manager.
Yeah. Very interesting, but it's yellow, kind of like the one from Flubber. And so we just kind of see that he's existing in this world. We don't really get much anything at this point, just that he's like not really performing. He's not really in demand. Then they're at the party before launch and they're talking about their dreams. And then all the girls realize that they all had the same dream about Zenon being on the moon. And everyone's like, okay, why did you have a dream about me on the moon? And they're like, I don't know. Why did I have a dream about you on the moon? And they're all like, we don't know why we had a dream about Zenon on the moon. And then at the same time, Dasha sneaks out and then comes to the party. And Zenon is like, girl, you gotta stop. And so then they get home late and her aunt and uncle are upset. They're mad. But Zenon doesn't like tell on her because Zenon needs something from her. And then you want to say something?
Sorry. I think this moment was standout for me because I feel like in every single movie early on, there's some moment where Zenon takes the fall. Mm-hmm. But in the first couple movies, it's like they assume that it was her, like they blame the whole thing on her because it's her. And then in this one, she actually took advantage of the fact that everyone always assumes that it's her fault. Mm-hmm. And she took the fall intentionally for Dasha by saying it was my idea, and they bought it because of course they did.
Mm-hmm. So they don't get mad at her, but then the aunt and uncle are like talking and Dasha overhears them saying like, but we can't keep her. Her brown eyes are cute, but we just, it's too much. She's too much of a wreaking havoc. And then we find out that they're not talking about Dasha, but Plankton is holding a dog. And so she can't see that they're talking about the dog that they bought her, but she thinks they're talking about her because she was adopted. So Dasha's gone. And then the teen competitors are all in their own pods in the race to the moon, which is the first step. The first 4 people to make it to the moon advance to the next round. Sage is sneaking onto the big ship where all the kids are going to like go to the moon to watch the event. So there's the 6 people who are participating and then this big ship of people who are going to watch the event once they get there. And they're off to the races. They're doing good. They kind of go around each other. Margie's good and Bronley's good. And Cassie is not good. This is the one little part I was talking to you about, Val, which they could have had anyone else do it, but Cassie needed help. And so the announcer says, oh, Zenon is doing a good job of helping out her friend, even though it could, hurt her in the long run. And so she goes to help Cassie. And they're not going to make it. The 2 other boys are going to beat them. But then the weird light spirit comes and it kind of forces the 2 boys to slow down, so that Margie gets first place, Bronley gets second place. Can you see me sinking? My chair is sinking. And Zenon gets 4th place. So the 4 of them are into the next round. But we also find out that Dasha snuck into Zenon's pod, and Zenon saw this light orb kind of hurt the boy. So she kind of knows something's going on, but she doesn't know what. She just knows something is. And then all the kids start showing up, and I said like a little moon oasis. And then we get back to Protozoa, and he's like, this is happening without me. I'm really cool and really great and like this big name in the space. And why am I not being appreciated? So I'm going to go and I'm going to perform on the moon. And then we have so you're probably wondering why we're having this on the moon. Well, it's because we can. And then it was very funny. And then Sage crashes and has like a big canvas sign that just has a picture of the moon with a big red slash through it. And Zenon tries to like stand up for Sage, but it doesn't matter now. And now the host of the event has his eyes on Zenon now too. So it wasn't really a great decision of doing that. And then like things are starting to happen weird. So Nebula calls from Maui and said it's snowing in Maui, which is weird because it's Maui. And you can put as an adult human being kind of the you can start putting the puzzle pieces together that something's wrong with the moon because that means that something's wrong on Earth. So then Aunt and Uncle can't find Dasha, and they're worried, and it's pouring rain on Earth. And because of like the weird stuff that's happening on the moon, a lot of the service is out, so they're not able to get in contact with one another. So Aunt and Uncle are trying to contact, but also Zenon's trying to contact too, and it's kind of just like losing signal halfway through. And when the Uncle Plankton went to go look for Dasha, it was like perfectly sunny, and then she's like, "Why are you all wet?" And he's like, "It literally started raining at the tip of a hat," which means something's wrong with the moon again. Still wrong with moon. Zenon has another dream about Serena, the moon goddess, who looks like Dolly Parton. and then all the girls wake up and they're like, wait, I also had the Dolly Parton dream. And they're like, okay, so something's going on with the moon goddess Serena. She's very ethereal. She looks like Dolly Parton. Then there's just like weird phenomena on Earth. Dairy cows are being lifted. We got a milkshake. And then Protozoa shows up, and I wrote, he looks so different. And he shows up to the space station. He's like, I'm here. And no one cares. Literally the only people who care are Zenon and her two friends. And Zenon goes, you are so not old until you hit like 30. And he goes, I'm 31. And they just stare at each other. It's very funny. So Protozoa is like trying to convince, like, I know everyone will love me. Like, Liz is what I'm built for. And he convinces, this is not this man's name, I just don't know his name, Ned Hostman to perform. And so the Hostman, his name is Ned. And he's like, I want to perform. He's like, okay, fine, you could perform. And so no one's standing up and dancing. You know how all the girls are like, yeah, and they're dancing and they're clapping at the same time. Literally only Zenon and her friends and Dasha are dancing. But then there's another girl that comes out and everyone starts cheering. He thinks they're cheering for him, but they just realize that it's cheering for Cosmic Blush, which is this all-girl band who's the new pop princess of space. And then everyone's cheering like she's better, which it's not. It's literally like watching Pixel Perfect all over again. It gave me PTSD. So then Aunt and Uncle are going to come out to the moon because they finally got in contact with one another. They know Dasha's there. They're like, okay, we're going to come pick her up. We're going to come help out. And so they get in their little pod and they're coming out to the moon. So then host Ned Man is sabotaging Zenon because he doesn't want her to win, because she's team don't build on the moon, because she's kind of created this camaraderie with Sage now. So he moves her like rock climbing pegs. You know, you like have little pegs.
Grips.
So, grips. Thank you, Val. So the next challenge that only the top two pass and then move on is you have to climb the rock wall, grab a ring, climb back down, and then put your ring on top of the table. And so he moves one of her things so that it's really far away so that she won't be able to reach it. So when the challenge starts, he's like, you won't ever get there. And then the light orb, which if you haven't put it together yet, is the moon goddess helping Zenon, helps her out and like moves her arm to be long enough, or moves the thing down, and she gets up the wall and she comes down and she gets second place. But while this was happening, Bronson watched her like arm extend or the thing, whatever. So he's like, she cheated, I saw it. And Zenon is like, I didn't do anything. So we're in this kind of third round of people not believing Zenon when she's telling the truth. And so then they all go back to the office of the host Ned Hostman, and he's taking them at face value. And he's just like, okay, I believe you didn't cheat. I can't change the rules. Everyone saw you get second place. I'm sorry, Margie and Cassie, you didn't get there. Zenon, you're in the top two. That's just what we have to do. And then for some reason, Sage is there. Makes no sense. I think maybe
he's just being like held in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like so random as to why he was there. But then after that, her friends are like, well, you're a cheater. So her friends are turning on her. And it's like, Margie, we've been through this before. But when we leave the office, Dasha believes her, and she goes, why would you start lying now? Which makes so much sense. Like, you weren't lying in the first movie, you weren't lying in the second movie, like why would you be lying now? So of course I believe you. Something I didn't mention was that Dasha dresses, acts like everything. She like looked up to Zenon before aunt and uncle adopted her. So she like knows who Zenon is because Zenon's kind of a mini celebrity, I'd say. And Zenon gave her some advice in the beginning of be yourself and you'll be fine. And so Dasha gave her the reciprocating be yourself and you'll be fine. So that's kind of through the end of this movie, Zenon is like, yeah, I am going to be myself. And so then they're in the back office with Sage, and basically Sages realize that they're trying to build Epcot on the moon. Not the amusement park, like the original plans for Epcot. They're trying to do this on the moon. So basically, building on the moon is bad. Still don't know why from Sage. It's just like... We find out that basically Serena is mad and that's why we shouldn't build on the moon. But I don't know how Sage knows this because he's an Earthling.
I think for him, it's just kind of what he says in that when we talked about in the cold open, which is like, you know, if we were to overtake the moon the way that we've overtaken the Earth, it would just be destroyed and like covered in capitalism because, you know, it would, that's what we do. And he was concerned that this guy was going to basically claim squatters' rights and then just literally take over the moon.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, that's exactly what
he was going to do.
Was planning.
Ned Hostman was going to like take over. So in trying to prove her point, Zenon is like, okay, I've had enough dreams. All of this weird shit is happening. I need to go talk to the moon goddess. And all of my dreams keep leading me back to where they first walked on the moon, where they put the American flag. So I need to go out onto the moon, find the American flag, and talk to her. So she gets in a spacesuit. She ventures out on the moon to where the American flag is, and she talks to the space light. And finally, Selena, the moon goddess, who is a Hot Topic employee, comes out, and she's like, "Yeah, what you want?"
I'm not kidding when I say like a teenage Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, it was absolute insanity. And she's like, you're making me mad. Get these people off the moon. I don't want them here. And Zenon's like, okay, cool. And she's like, oh, you're the one controlling all of the weather. And she's like, yeah, duh, you're stupid. So she just wants people to move. She just doesn't want people to take her land. So she is sticking up for herself. So that is why she is like, get off the moon. Otherwise, I'm going to completely destroy you. And they have to do this before the next Earth set, which means the next time that the moon is rotating or the Earth is rotating or whatever. So
basically when it goes under this horizon.
Yeah. Oh, and then as we're there, as she's like about to leave, Dasha shows up and her GPS blows up and they're down to low oxygen. So they don't know how to get back and they're down to like 30% oxygen in their spacesuits. Then aunt and uncle are like hijacked in their pod landing on the moon by Serena, the moon goddess. And they just like kind of park where they can. They're just like trying to get down and stay alive. And then I wrote, morale is low across the board. But then they get to the right place. They kind of remembered their way back. They get to the door and the door won't open. But then Sage saves the day and he was in a spacesuit and they're like, what were you doing? And he was like, I was going to go look for you because I knew that you'd be out there because I'm smart too. And so he saved them, brought them back in. And he believes that, it's Selena. Oops. Did I say Serena? It's Selena.
I don't know.
He believes her that Selena talked to her and that they need to get everyone off. And so if they don't get everyone off, then they're all going to just like die on the moon because she's going to kill them all. So they're going to the very last challenge for the person who's going to win. And she goes up to Bronson and she's like, Bronson, please listen to me. Like, we need to get everyone off the moon. And he's like, you're trying to psych me out. And she goes, Bronson, not everything's about you. And he goes, Zenon, everything is about me. And he walks away. And that was amazing.
But it wasn't believable at all.
I know. But I loved it.
Horribly acted moment. Like, it was like, this guy is supposed to be this like conceited, like, you know, everything is all about me guy, but you don't feel that. And then he says this line and it's just like, shut up. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you were getting to it, like we haven't gotten to it yet, but her friends just like forgive her for no good reason.
I think
like,
I wasn't even just going to mention it.
It made me like angry. Like I was like, this makes no sense. Like they literally were just like, we just decided to get over
believe you now.
Yeah, right. Like it was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like then don't have them get mad in the first place. Like who cares?
Yeah. Okay. So as they're on their way to the like last challenge, Selena is like having gravity glitch around them. So there's like all of these gravity glitches that are happening. And Selena is hijacking the host and like brings them all the way up to the ceiling. And everyone thinks it's Zenon at this point because Zenon is literally like, look, it's not me. I'm literally not doing anything. So she goes up to Protozoa and he's eating ice cream in the corner because he's sad. And he's like, oh, but I have the Wonder Bus, so I can take these 85 children off on my bus. And
because the guys sent all the pods that had brought them there back to Earth to bring more employees back. So there was no other way off the moon.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So they had no way off. Then Sage is trying to record the Ned Hostman's confession of like, why did you do this? And he won't do it. And so he finally does it. And they're allowing the kids to like escape. And because the gravity is lost at like a certain time, but they don't know, like they do know when, but they don't know when. They have like different ropes for all of the kids to like hold on to. And they're like tying it kind of like a ropes course to like, if you end up in the air, just hang it on the rope and just climb into Protozoa's bus. And then Ned Hostman gets down from the ceiling and he tries to get onto the bus. And the security guard goes, women and children first. Which was a very funny Titanic moment. And he goes, actually, literally anyone else first. And then he runs past him. And it literally was Billy Zane. They check the whole station and they're good to go. And then we're like, okay, well, where is Aunt and Uncle? And so then they're trying to lift the dome so that they can like move the whole thing and get rid of it so that the moon is clean. And Zenon's like hook. She isn't great at driving, so she's trying to like hook it. And Margie and all of the people are there in their individual pods to try to like hook the dome and get it off before she destroys it. And then Plink and Ant come and help, and then they all get it off. And then everything is fine, and Selena destroys what's left of the station on the moon and sucks it like into the moon, and she's happy and goes, don't ever come back here again. Then Nebula calls and knows Zenon has saved the day, and then she's in the same car with Sage, and she like ruins the crush that she has on Sage. And she's like, oops. And
by ruins, she means she like says it.
She
out
like
loud.
says it on purpose. And she's like, oh, tell me about your crush. And he's literally sitting right there. And then Margie is talking with Bronson and she goes, so I know you're shallow and self-centered, and those are two qualities I don't have a problem with, because Zenon had a problem with those qualities, but Margie doesn't because she's superficial. Then Dasha gets the puppy, and there's a blush concert, Cosmic Blush, but it's featuring Protozoa. So now they're all, fun together.
And it was actually like halfway decent because he was a part.
Because he was in it. And then she gets a call from Ned Hostman, and he's like, oh, we never declared a contest winner, but are you interested in joining my contest for Mars? And Zenon goes, you know that the god of war is on Mars. Yeah, I'm not going to Mars. You're not going to Mars.
Mars is the god of war.
Yeah, we're not doing that. And then this is where she says, learning to be open to new experiences is the macro best part of growing up. And I said, no, it's mozzarella sticks. And then she kisses Sage at the end. And that's the end of the Zenon trilogy.
Wow. And I'm so glad that they kept it at that. Like that they didn't try and do
C4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it on the whole. Like there were a lot of moments where I was like, Jesus, this special effects are terrible, or like this particular moment doesn't make any sense. But on the whole, I liked it. And I think it's up to the performances of the main people, like for the most part, like we're good.
Nice. Anything else before we head on to bingo?
Let's just do some bingo.
Let's bingo to bingo. All right, you start, Val.
Okay. One hit wonder song. Yes.
Cosmic Blush.
Their new wait, hold on. What is the new song called? So Anyone But Me is the first song that just Cosmic Blush sings. And then Out of This World is the song that they sing with Protozoa at the end. And I actually liked that song, but I still maintain that Stu's song Galaxy is Ours is the best of all of the Zenon songs.
But then I thought it was fun that Zoom, Zoom, Zoom was the credits song.
Yeah, that was cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought them all back.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it bummed me out because I realized, so like I've been listening to The Galaxy is Ours on Spotify, but it's the version that this guy sings. Like it's the version from Z3. The version from Z2 is not on
Spotify.
Spotify, which is a bummer because I mean, Stu probably gets them, 2 cents no matter what. But I want Philip Reese to get his singing credit because he's great.
Interesting.
Whatever. Yeah. So yes, we have a one-hit wonder for sure.
Breaking the fourth wall or looking into the camera?
No.
Holiday
themed. Moonstock 54.
Moonstock. That's funny. I get it now.
Woodstock? Yeah.
Yeah. Clunky metaphor.
I mean, literally the metaphor is so clunky that the whole point of the movie is the metaphor. Like the goddess like rejecting the colonizer.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's literally a metaphor. Like it's a metaphor. That is a metaphor. Anyway.
Yeah.
Parents who just don't get it. No, they're not even there.
Yeah. And aunt and uncle like do get it.
They totally get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Cool non-parent adult.
The planks.
The planks in Protozoa.
And Protozoa, yeah. Someone too famous for a TV movie. I guess Raven.
I guess at the time, yeah. She was really big at the time.
Yeah.
That's why she wasn't in probably the whole thing.
Right.
Competition to resolve central problem. There is the competition.
There is a competition, but it's not really meant to resolve the central problem.
I'm good either way.
Let's say no.
Okay.
A montage sequence. Yes.
Yeah.
When they're escaping, it's kind of a montage sequence.
Cliche villains.
Yeah.
The hot guy.
And Ned.
Ned Hostman. I don't actually know what his name is.
Pat Numbar.
See, Ned. I'm not wrong.
No, you're not. You're absolutely correct. Clothes or items you owned. So as I mentioned earlier, Cassie has a slinky in her hair as a hair tie a couple times, and I definitely had a slinky. I probably still have it somewhere.
Perfect.
Did you have anything?
I don't think I had anything.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't have a spaceship yet. Rotten Tomatoes 40 to 60%.
I'm gonna guess 43.
You're within 5. That's the first time that's happened in a long time.
Yeah. Wait, what was it?
47.
Okay, that feels right.
Yeah.
Happily Ever After. Oh yeah. Smoochy smooch in front of a concert
smooch.
again.
Oh, Val, did you say smoochy smooch? It's our next box, Almost Kissing, which leads to a real kiss.
And there's also a real almost kiss in this movie because she almost kisses Bronley until Dasha shows up and interrupts them.
Yep.
So
many almost kissing.
Someone who became famous.
Yeah. We always do Kirsten Storms because she is a big hospital.
Okay. Kirsten Storms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Betraying of one's real friends or values.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's like the one thing about Zenon. She does not do that.
Yeah.
Your childhood crush.
Oh, yeah.
This boy was cute.
He was cute and in a movie that I remember actually having a crush on him.
Perfect. If I saw this, I definitely would have found Sage attractive for sure.
He's so cute. He's still cute. We followed him on Instagram. Hey, Sage.
Nice. Ben. Hey, Ben. We think you're cute still. Pretty eyes.
Pretty eyes. Obviously, bad special effects or stunts. I'm gonna
fill this square in.
Literally was just gonna say I'm gonna color in this whole box. I'm gonna.
Like when I tell you this looked like if Pong was a movie at some points, you know what I mean? Like the worst video game graphics you could possibly imagine as like whole outdoor scenes. Like,
and I don't want to insult the people who worked really hard on this movie, but I also do.
Well,
this was bad.
Here's the thing. Like anyone can make a bad product if they either don't have enough time or don't have enough resources, right? Like it's not about like the skill of the people who made this. It's like, I mean, think about like we just went through this where everyone was criticizing a lot of especially the first couple episodes of She-Hulk for a lot of the special effects or the CGI in that movie or in that show because they were putting these people through the ringer, like not giving them enough time, not giving them enough resources to do the job well, right? So in this instance, they probably did the best that they possibly could under the circumstances, but you've got a movie where it was written with the intention of having a film budget and they have a TV budget. I mean, it's just, they probably had like one guy in his garage, like animating this entire movie.
Well, and
you know?
I don't want to insult him because of those reasons, but I do. It's not good.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Oh my God. Oh boy. Okay. Disney Channel star. Kirsten Stars. We had 2 OGs in a row.
Oh yeah, and Raven.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Simone Ye. Which
Simone
I don't
Ye.
hate.
No, I love that. Simone Ye is a beautiful name.
Yeah.
It's French. My mother would love.
Raven. Simone Ye. Oh. Ratatouille. Musical number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple.
There were 3.
Magic. Yep.
Oh yeah. So much.
And not science magic this time, which is interesting.
No, just goddess magic.
Yeah, it was like Thor.
Yeah. Someone says the title of the movie.
No,
because we accepted Zenon the first time.
Right.
But they don't say Z3.
They don't say Z3.
Which I do want to bring up that when you look up Z3 on Disney Channel Plus, Zombies 3 pops up first.
I saw that. Yeah, I know.
They're both Z3.
They are both Z3.
Very interesting.
But also Z3, they're playing to the crowd that probably watches more of that stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like
this is the one you mean, right?
Right, exactly.
Which we'll get there in 2 years. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be there. Scuba Dude. Oh, yeah.
Those
literally.
Kids. Those meddling
literally
kids.
Tying ropes to get people out. They saved the day. No, not an adult in sight.
The heroes create the problem.
No.
Ned
She's not
Hostman.
colisigning the mood. Yeah. Colisigning? Colonizing. Lead is a fish out of water. Nope.
She's pretty in the water on this one.
Firmly in the water.
Val.
I hope we get 3 because it's the 3.
Well, your dreams are about to shatter.
No.
We got 1.
Okay, we got 1.
We got closer items you owned, Rotten Tomatoes 40 to 60, Happily Ever After, Almost Kissing, and Someone Who Became Famous.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we were missing some big ones like Betraying of One's Real Friends or Values, Fish Out of Water, and Parents Who Just Don't Get It.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you ready for a game, Val?
Yeah.
This game is called Name That Trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you a list of characters' first names, and you're going to have to tell me the movie trilogy.
Okay.
It might be hard, so I only have 5. There's one very easy one, and I'll be mad at you if you don't get it. But I think you might be able to. I don't know. So if this doesn't pertain to Val, at least you, the listener at home, can play along, and hopefully you know these.
Okay.
All right, so we got 5. So our first set of characters is Gordon, Charlie, and Goldberg.
Mighty Ducks, baby.
Yeah, the Mighty Ducks trilogy.
One
I
of
did
my
that one
favorite
first because I knew you would know it. All right, we've got Austin, Nigel, Scott, Vanessa.
Austin Powers.
There we go. I didn't want to give you the last one unless you needed it. Which was Minnie. I don't want to say Mini-Me because that would be too obvious, but. Okay, we're doing good. Okay. A trilogy I recently watched for the first time, aka last week. Sydney, Gail, Dewey, and Billy.
I don't know. Am I going to kick myself?
It is the Scream trilogy.
Oh,
it is
I've
the
never
first
seen
3 of Scream. Okay, I am going to say, I know there's a lot of movies out there we haven't seen. I watched it with my friend Dominic, who is obsessed with the Screams, and it was very good.
I just have never really seen many horror movies.
So it's not, I mean, it is kind of horror, but it's more like thriller drama, I would say, with a little bit of blood.
Okay. If you watch it with me during the daytime, I'll watch it.
Okay. Here we go. This is easy. Gabriella, Troy, Chad, and Sharpay.
High School Musical.
Yeah. I know you haven't seen it as many times as me.
Right. It took me a second.
All right. The last one. Lorraine, George, Emmett, Marty.
Oh, Back to the Future.
Yeah! This was easier than I thought.
No, I liked it. It was good.
Yay! I just was like, I can't do the Lord of the Rings, Frodo. Like, you're gonna know.
Or Star Wars.
Yeah. Thanks for playing. Name that trilogy.
I love that game. Thank you, Al.
You're welcome. Well, Mel, this was a super treat. Sorry, it was a cranky crab, but hopefully I was able to crank my way through it.
You cranked your way through.
Cranked my way through.
And I love you as a crab or any other crustacean.
I am a crab because I'm a Cancer, so.
Ooh.
Well, thanks for a lovely evening. Val, what are we watching next?
We are watching Stuck in the Suburbs.
Nice! With special guest, Taron Killam. He's in that movie, so.
I once met Kobe Smulders. Maybe I could give her a call and get her to
just give her a call. Say, hey, can we get Taron for just for 1 hour? We'll get it done quick. Well, thank you, Val. Like, subscribe, be a friend. Patreon, Instagram.
Yeah, tell your friends about us. Have them follow us and share our posts.
Create fake accounts. Follow us.
Yeah, create fake accounts. Also, something to consider for real is our Patreon. Right now, there's not a whole lot going on there, but there are two things that are going to be coming soon. One is Patreon only content, not just from us, but also from all of the Trident shows, podcasts, video teams, etc. And also, as a Patreon patron, you get access to the Trident Discord, and you can literally come and talk to Al and I in real time on Discord. And also, it supports us and it supports all the other great people who make stuff on Trident. So you'd be, supporting people who are making things, which, we appreciate.
It's a good time.
And it's only the lowest thing is $3 a month.
Insane.
I think that's affordable.
I think so. Well, Val, you have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Okay.
Now
I
you're
just
trying
to make Val laugh. I just trying to make her laugh so hard before we hang up. Okay. Bye, Val.
Bye, Al. This podcast was produced by me.
And me.
And it was edited by me.
The music was composed by Michael McNally.
You can find us online at thetridentnetwork.com/dcommentaries-pod.
And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at dcommentaries.
Dcommentaries is a part of the Trident Network. To learn more about our videos, live shows, and other podcasts, please visit thetridentnetwork.com.
Disney Channel original movies.
Damn it, Allie.